You're watching Reality Check. 3 months ago, riots tore through Delhi's northeast. Now, since then, the police have made a spate of arrests and filed a number of charge sheets, charge sheet after charge sheet. They claim they're acting in a fair and balanced manner, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Now, just to remind ourselves, the riots took place at a time when Delhi was tense. There were a number of anti-CA NRC protests. The city had just come out of a bruising, divisive, politically charged, communally charged election campaign. A pivotal moment was when the BJP leader Kapil Mishra on the 23rd of February stood amongst a group of pro-CA protesters in northeast Delhi and warned the Delhi police that if they did not clear these blockades, then he and his supporters would take the law into their own hands. Let's listen once again to what he said then.
मैं आप सबके बिहाफ पे ये बात कह रहा हूँ, ट्रंप के जाने तक तो हम शांति से जा रहे हैं, लेकिन उसके बाद हम आपकी भी नहीं सुनेंगे अगर रास्ते खाली नहीं हुए तो। ठीक है? आज जब तक रास्ता खाली करवा रहे हैं, ट्रंप के जाने तक आप जाफराबाद और चांदबाग खाली करवा लीजिए, ऐसी आपसे विनती कर रहे हैं। उसके बाद हमें रोड पे आना पड़ेगा। ठीक है?
Now, within hours of that speech, northeast Delhi erupted in riots. The violence raged for days. Over 50 people were killed. Hundreds of homes and shops burnt, torched to the ground, looted. But in the Delhi police charge sheet, the narrative appears to be almost entirely one side when it comes to who they blame for these riots. This is what our analysis of the 8 charge sheets filed so far by the Delhi police, which looks at the conspiracy angle, has found that in these charge sheets, it is completely silent on Kapil Mishra. There is no reference at all to the BJP leader. The riots, conspiracy, the chronology of what led up to the riots is entirely blamed on anti-CAA, anti-NRC and Jamia protesters and activists. There's absolutely no reference to Mishra's incendiary speech. So in the police version, it's the anti-CAA and the anti-NRC and Jamia activists who are behind the conspiracy. Now my colleague Saurabh Shukla joins me because he's been tracking this story. He's been going through all these charge sheets. And Saurabh, this is what, when we looked at these 8 charge sheets, if we go through each one of them, this is what we find when we look at it charge sheet after charge sheet. And let's put up that first graphic on the screen of the first set of charge sheets that we looked at, Saurabh. And these are riots charge sheet 1, 2, 3. That is, they were all 3 charge sheets filed today, 9th June 2020. It included the violence that took place in Maujpur in northeast Delhi and 2 charge sheets for 2 separate instances of violence in Kardampuri. It said that the riots are not impromptu but conspired with an intent to create communal strife under the garb of opposing the CAA. So again, the CAA protests were blamed. No mention of Kapil Mishra. The riot charge sheet 4 that we looked at, filed on 3rd June 2020. This, Saurabh, was into the murder of Ankit Sharma, the IB staffer. Here it says the conspiracy hatched by Jamia anti-CA NRC protesters in connection with AAP councillor Tahir Hussain. No mention of Kapil Mishra. Riot charge sheet number 5, dated 3rd June 2020, violence at Rajdhani school. Who's the conspiracy? Call analysis of the school owner shows links with PFI, Popular Front of India, Pinjra Tod, Jamia Coordination Committee, Nizamuddin Markaz. No mention of Kapil Mishra. Riot charge sheet number 6, date 2nd June 2020, Saurabh, filed in the Jafrabad riots case. Who's the conspirator? Pinjra Tod in conspiracy with a group called India Against Hate and Umar Khalid. No mention of Kapil Mishra. Riot charge sheet number 7, dated 2nd June 2020. The Tahir Hussain case. Again, Tahir Hussain comes up. Who's the conspirator? Hussain is connected to Khalid Saifi, Umar Khalid, etc., etc. No mention of Kapil Mishra. The final charge sheet, again, in a Tahir Hussain case filed on the 1st June of 2020. Hussain, it seems, was found connected to Khalid Saifi, Umar Khalid, Shaheen Bagh. So, repeat of the earlier charges. No mention of Kapil Mishra. So, Saurabh, basically, when you went through these charge sheets, the pattern is clear because you were actually there on the day when Kapil Mishra made that speech and you saw the actual chronology, and then you have the Delhi police with their own chronology.
Absolutely, Vasu. Delhi police's chronology in the one of the chart sheet, they start from 13th of December when anti-CA protest started happening in Delhi from Jamia. They did mention about 15th and 16th wherein Jamia violence happened, and they did not mention about the police brutality where a lot of students were beaten. In fact, few lost their one of the students lost his eye as well. Then later they go into 22nd of February where they say that the trigger was on 22nd on the call of Bhim Army protesters, anti-CA protester. They have blocked Jafrabad metro station. But when they come to 23rd,
right,
they did not mention about Kapil Mishra. Vasu, we were there. On 23rd, Kapil Mishra came with hundreds of his supporters at Mojpur, which is just like few hundred meters away from Jafrabad. As soon as he arrived there, communal sloganeering starts there, and there's some incident of stone pelting as well. And then DCP with his team,
right,
he goes to Kapil Mishra and asks him to go. And Kapil Mishra, right in front of us, gives ultimatum to Delhi police that you clear the street, or else after Trump leaves, we will come and हम लोग आकर के ये रास्ते खाली करा देंगे. As soon as Vasu, Kapil Mishra leaves from there, it becomes launch pad for one community and Jafrabad other community, and then from then that becomes the epicenter of riots. But in Delhi police's charge sheet, there is no mention. In fact, you mentioned about the Jafrabad charge sheet. There is no mention of Kapil Mishra at all. If you are mentioning Pijra Tod, then you have to mention Kapil Mishra as well. And in fact, in Mojpur violence, they did not mention Kapil Mishra at all. So if you are blaming, if you have written about, they have said that Hashmandar, they mention Hashmandar, they mention Chandrasekhar, they mention Sarjil Imam, they mention girls from Pijra Tod, Umar Khalid Saifi, but they did not mention Kapil Mishra at all.
Yes.
In fact, they did not mention two boys. One boy who fired a bullet in Shaheen Bagh and other
right,
in
now,
Jamia. So they did not mention about them as well. So till now, out of 70
right,
chart sheet, Vasu, we assessed, as you said, we reviewed 8 of them. No mention of Kapil Mishra at all.
Okay, and also now, Saurabh, you reached out to the Delhi police. I think you tried to ask them for the reason for this. And what response, if at all, did you get?
In fact, I did call additional CP Crime, who is public relations officer as well. He is the spokesperson. He did speak to me. He said that he will get back to me, and I dropped him a text as well, but they did not reply at all. So Delhi police is silent, still silent when we are asking questions that why there is no mention of Kapil Mishra, when in the court, in Delhi High Court, Justice Muralidhar played those videos and pulled Delhi police and asked them to take action. So, but no mention by Delhi police at all. So, Delhi police is still quiet. They did not reply to our queries. No response to our story. Vasu.
Right. So, Saurabh, that is a fascinating investigation. You went through all these charge sheets, and as we found again and again, the chronology of the police. Because as that famous line, it almost reminds of what the Home Minister said, "Aap chronology samajhiye." So the Delhi police is explaining a chronology of a very different kind, that it says that the violence began at Jamia, then it went from there to Shaheen Bagh, then Harsh Mandar instigated protests, then Chandrasekhar Azad instigated protests, and then there were blockade on the main roads, blockade at Jafrabad metro station, and then the riots happened. So it completely kind of excludes or obfuscates this other very important aspect, which was an incendiary speech. In fact, speeches given at that time by ruling party leaders. The police, as you said, at the moment are no comment on this big story. But we will, of course, continue to track it. Thanks very much indeed, Saurabh, for joining us. Let's now go to panel. We have with us Colin Gonsalves, a human rights lawyer, and also someone who's been closely tracking this set of cases. Vivek Reddy of the BJP is with us. Neeraj Kumar, former Delhi Police Commissioner, is with us. Pleasure to have him as always. Colin Gonsalves, now what do you make of these charge sheets? We have only managed to analyze 8. There are, as Saurabh mentioned, close to 70. But their narrative seems to be very clear that the entire conspiracy, the Delhi police is saying, Colin, that they've arrested people on both sides, both members of the community. But when it comes to the conspiracy aspect, it's almost entirely the Jamia protesters, the anti-CA NRC activists, and there is absolute silence on the provocation by the likes of Kapil Mishra.
Well, if you look at the case that is filed in the Supreme Court on behalf of the victims of the Delhi riot, we make the point that the Delhi police refused to register FIRs against the police. There are approximately 80 or 90 complaints made against criminal conduct by the police. That is to say, the police coming in, breaking bones, beating people mercilessly, and all those complaints from the public against the police have been ignored. So that's the first characteristic of this case. Second is, the entire investigation goes by the police story and ignores the people who got beaten completely and completely communalized. The whole investigation is communal in the sense that corner stage, at the center of everything, is this very fiery speech made by a minister in the cabinet today, a member of parliament, an MLA. And they not only make speeches, it's not just words. They actually go down into the crowds, they go into the rallies, and they teach not only Delhi, they teach the whole country a slogan which says, kill them. Can you imagine? You
okay, so you're saying,
instigate the murder of not only the people of Delhi, but people across the country. These persons, these cabinet ministers, members of parliament, MLAs, are actually murderers.
And you're saying there's absolute, and you're saying there's no reference to them.
And Justice Muralidhar got it.
Okay, Colin Gonsalves.
Can I just finish?
Yes.
Justice Muralidhar.
Yes, Colin Gonsalves.
Said, this is very
simple. quickly, because I need to
Why don't you get an FIR?
Yeah.
And the answer was, it's not convenient now. It's not convenient now. And he asked, when will it be convenient? Tell me tomorrow.
To make the arrest.
And that's when the midnight order came for his transfer to the Punjab court.
Yes, and he was transferred. Now, Neeraj Kumar, if I can just ask you, because Delhi police otherwise professional force, but the fact that you are filing these charge sheets, omitting something as glaring as a Kapil Mishra provocative speech, which otherwise would have been a slam dunk for law enforcement, that anybody, high or low, makes a speech like this in the middle of a riot-like situation is picked up. Fact that, forget being picked up, he's not even named in the charge sheet. Give us a sense of what could be going on behind the scenes that is leading the police to act like this.
See, I'm not privy to all the details. You would appreciate I am no longer a part of the Delhi police. But from whatever little I know,
of course,
I have been informed that the matter concerning Kapil Mishra's speech is before the Supreme Court.
Yes.
It is sub judice because I think Mrs. Brinda Karat went to the High Court and then the matter went to the Supreme Court. Therefore, that matter is sub judice and at no stage has the Delhi police said that we will not take action against Kapil Mishra. That is one. You, Vasu,
the only question there is, the only question, Neeraj, if I can just jump in for a second, is that the only question is that why does the matter even need to go to court? The matter went to court because the police was not acting. Now, in every other instance of anyone else who they believe to have made an incendiary speech, they were picked up within hours or days. Only in this case, there was hesitation. But you and I, even if we don't understand the law, you and I as citizens heard that speech. If you were a police officer on the spot, wouldn't you have made the arrest?
See, the matter why it has gone to the court should be asked to the petitioner. The petitioner is a public figure. As you know, I have named her. And it is she who went to the court. And that is how the matter is before the court. And there also, the Delhi police has filed an affidavit that we are seized of the matter and we will take action as soon as the matter is disposed of by the court. That is one. Secondly, you mentioned a number of cases in which the charge sheet has been filed, but Kapil Mishra's name has not been mentioned.
Yeah.
Now that is,
Yes.
I don't think that is a very objective way of looking at it, because not every case that took place was related to Kapil Mishra's speech. Just like not every case that took place in which people of one community are the accused is related to the speeches made by
the only point, you're absolutely right. Sir, you're absolutely right. The only point is that many of the charge sheets do repeat a certain chronology, where they list the chronology of what led to the riots. That is repeated in several charge sheets. And in those chronology sequence, which we actually put up on screen, every instance or aspect what they believed was provocative and caused the riot is mentioned, except this gentleman's speech. And his speech, as we just saw and heard, was pivotal to the riots. He makes the speech and within hours there are riots. Imagine excluding that from the chronology in which you repeated in charge sheet after charge sheet. Colin Gonsalves, what did you make of what Mr. Neeraj Kumar said when he said that, look, the police is seized of this matter, it's not that they're acting under any pressure, they will act as and when they get the go-ahead from the court?
Look at this excuse that the matter is pending before the court. The entire Delhi riots matter is pending before the court. The prayer in the petition is remove the Delhi police, we can't trust them. They are agents of the central government. Remove them completely and bring in an independent agency. Everything is before the court. Now the police didn't stop on that aspect, that this whole thing about the change in the investigation agency should be done. They didn't say, oh, the matter is pending. What was convenient to them, they went ahead and completed the investigation, right? Now, when it comes to the Kapil Mishra thing, the High Court is asking them again and again, when are you going to register the FIR? Right. They're asking them to register it. And Justice Leader adjourned it, and they were lucky to get that one-day adjournment. Adjourned it for them to say, we're going to do it tomorrow or day after. It's not convenient now. And what is the excuse? Matter is pending before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court hasn't stayed anything. Supreme Court hasn't made any observation.
Right.
Nothing prevented the Delhi police from either stopping completely or from doing a fair investigation. So it's a completely one-sided story.
Right.
They are protecting the accused. The police.
Okay. In fact, if I can go back to, right. In fact, I'll try to go back to Vivek Reddy if I can, if we've sorted out the technical issue. We have not yet fully sorted out the technical issue. Okay, let me just go to, okay, I'm told I can go to Vivek Reddy. Vivek, sorry, you were saying, go ahead, Vivek.
Yes, Vasu, I think, yes, Vasu, managing with the other mobile. Vasu, one issue is, first of all, what the investigation has unraveled is a huge conspiracy to create communal violence in Delhi. This is number one. We can't forget this. And where did this conspiracy come from? This conspiracy came from the anti-CAA protesters. This is where the police evidence is leading to. And what was the conspiracy? This is important. The conspiracy was to create communal violence in Delhi and to create a major chaos in Delhi. This is what was the conspiracy that is unraveled. What is the evidence behind it, Vasu? The evidence
and what is the role of Kapil Mishra in this conspiracy?
Let me just complete. The evidence behind it, the overt act the evidence behind it is...
My question to you was on Kapil Mishra.
Let me just clear the air as to the controversy and then come to Kapil Mishra. I'm not avoiding Kapil Mishra. I'll come to Kapil Mishra. Now,
because we have already described in great detail what the police have described as the conspiracy. What we are focusing on tonight, because you're repeating. I have already mentioned that. Vivek, I have already mentioned that in great detail. I am asking you on how in this beautiful conspiracy, we mentioned it fully. Now I'm asking you, where is the role of your own leaders in this?
Who sent WhatsApp messages saying undertake communal violence? Who sent WhatsApp messages saying keep boiling oil in your house, keep weapons in your house? Who sent that? This is relatable to a group called Pinjra Squad, which is a left organization.
Okay.
And who sent messages saying that in Tahir Hussein's case, there are overt acts by Tahir Hussein where he participated in the murder. The police has unraveled this evidence. And this larger conspiracy is linked to create...
Now can you answer my question?
Why are we suppressing all this?
Okay. Now can I answer? Now can you answer my question? Now can you answer my question?
Yes.
Now can you answer my question? Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. Right. So, in the wake of this, what is found with material evidence before the police is that there is a huge effort to create chaos in Delhi, havoc in Delhi. And
you're still not answering my question.
Kapil Mishra's investigation is an independent investigation which is now seized before the Supreme Court.
How
the
come?
Delhi police has said we will unravel.
How is it independent?
There. But what do we say
how is this independent? What an extraordinary thing. No, Vivek, just listen to what you said. Here is a man who's a member of a ruling party. He's standing next to a police officer and he's saying that unless you clear this blockade, I will take the law into my own hands. I will not be in control of the situation. He is making a direct threat for violence, after which there is violence, and you're saying this is independent. This is independent of the probe into the Delhi riots. How can you say that? The entire riots started the moment he made that speech.
The issue is...
The riot started the moment he made that speech. And you're saying his probe is independent to the Delhi riots. So did he not create havoc? Did he not create havoc? No, but did he not create havoc?
That there was a pre-plan to create
havoc. Let me ask you...
Isn't it so serious? Why are you saying it's just...
his making a speech is not part of that plan.
There is evidence to that. There are WhatsApp
I am saying that I am not saying that. I am saying, Vivek, if you're going after all these people, Pinjra, Tod, whatever it is, why are you sparing him? Simply because he belongs to the ruling party. That's the issue.
One elementary question in criminal law.
That's
in
the
criminal
issue.
law, you link...
Okay, let me go back to Mr. I must go back to the others.
That is what you do in criminal law. You can't simply prosecute a man. If it is related to a larger conspiracy angle,
you cannot simply prosecute a man because it is Kapil Mishra, but you can prosecute everybody else.
To create chaos in Delhi, there is material for this. So that is how the police has come up.
Okay,
and
fine.
And there are WhatsApp messages to prove that.
I see.
It is not an artificial narrative. Now, why do you want Kapil Mishra to be sued? Yes, but there has to be
Neeraj Kumar, if I can ask you this, that is there a worry that if this is the manner in which the investigation is going to proceed, because it's very important at this time that justice is not just done but seen to be done. One of the trial courts actually, while hearing the bail matter of one of the activists accused being picked up, says the investigation seems to be targeted only towards one end. Police have failed to point out the probe or the involvement of the rival faction. The courts are also now taking cognizance of this. And many of these people were given bail as a result of that. The police then rearrested them and put UAPA charges against them. Isn't it important for the police to be seen to be acting? I'm not talking even in this specific case, but generally, that they must be seen to be acting in a fair, balanced, non-partisan way, not coming under any kind of political influence or pressure.
Vasu, you could have come to the conclusion that the police is acting in a partisan matter if incidents where Muslims were the victims, cases had not been registered. If in cases where Muslims were the victims, the accused were not arrested. That is not the case. You are aware of the case of Akbari Begum and the arrest of 5 people who are Hindus. And there are many other cases.
Of course.
In fact, I have the figures of the total... Excuse me, just let me complete. Of the total
We're talking about the conspiracy aspect. We're not talking about the rioting aspect. We're talking about the conspiracy aspect.
Conspiracy case...
the conspiracy is entirely being blamed on one side.
The conspiracy case is still under investigation. That is, as you know, is with the special cell, and it is under UAPA.
Okay.
They have time to file the charge sheet. I think we should await the charge sheet before jumping to any conclusion.
Okay.
But let me just make one point.
I'm told we're out of time. But we're out of time, sir. I wish I could, but I've been told repeatedly we're out of time. You said that the charge sheet has been filed. We should await it. We
people
certainly waited till the charge sheets were filed, and our entire investigation or report tonight was based on an analysis of 8 charge sheets, not 1 but 8. So we did come up with whatever we did with some journalistic responsibility. But as you said, there's still a long way to go. It all has to go to court, and we'll have to see what the courts make of it. But we're completely out of time. Thank you all so much for joining us on Reality Check. That's all the time we have. Good night.